Absolutely perfect day here in Chapel Hill on the North Carolina campus as you're watching the ACC on ESPN. The Lamar Jackson Tour continues. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner has Louisville ranked number 17 entering today's game against the Tar Heels. And hi, everybody, with Greg McElroy. I'm Dave Pash. We'll get to Tom Luganville in a bit. Well, Greg, going into the regular season, it seemed like nobody picked Lamar Jackson to win for a second straight time. After all, it's been 40 years since it's happened. But after week one, seems like everybody's jumping back on the bandwagon.
I'm sick and tired of people suggesting that Lamar Jackson's not the best player in college football. He is. Case closed. Now, will he win a second Heisman Trophy? That remains to be seen. But through one game, all the issues that plagued him last year, inconsistencies, throwing it down the field, taking sacks, fumbling the football, it appears as though he's moved on from those mistakes. And Tom, seeing him as a passer, especially on those downfield throws, he looked like a completely different guy against Purdue.
Yeah, if you pay close attention, Greg, to him today, watch his poised, calm feet. Watch him take the easy dump off. Watch him throw the ball away and limit negative plays. That's going to be something that makes him special this year.
And we'll get to see him shortly. Louisville won the toss, elected to receive. Last week, Jackson had 2 touchdowns, both through the air, in their win against Purdue. Bobby Petrino in his 8th year at Louisville, 4th year of his second stint with the Cardinals. Meanwhile, North Carolina coming off a bad loss at home to Cal. Again, they lost their quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, who went number 2 overall in the NFL draft. Larry Fedora lost more than that on offense. And a bad start for the Tar Heels as they kick it out of bounds, giving Louisville excellent starting field position. So Lamar Jackson, a junior from Pompano Beach, Florida, that is in the Fort Lauderdale area, obviously in the line of Hurricane Irma. So his mother, Felicia Jones, expected to be here today. The last time she was at a game was the Clemson game last year. They lost, and she felt badly because of it. Hasn't been to a game since. And she's hopeful to make it today to get out of the path of the hurricane and get to be with her son here in Chapel Hill. And here is Jackson running it on first down, and he has a first down. A gain of about 14 for Lamar Jackson on the first play. Over 5,000 yards last year. It was a year ago this week he did that, hurling over a Syracuse player and almost putting up 600 yards in that game. He became the youngest Heisman Trophy winner at age 19. And just watching him, Greg, on the field before today's game, he's gotten bigger. His lower body is noticeably bigger. He's gained about 10 pounds. He'll throw here. And that pass overshot, trying to hit the running back, Reggie Bonifant.
And people forget how big Lamar Jackson is. Now, he's not the thickest guy in the world, but he's every bit of 6'3". And with those additional pounds, he's going to be able to handle the load a little bit more on the ground game between the tackles. Bulkier, stronger, more physically mature, but still the dynamic athlete that we saw a year ago.
Play fake for Lamar on the rollout and dumping it off to the 46-yard line. Jordan Davis, a huge hit by Andre Smith, the middle linebacker. Made some comments about Lamar Jackson this week. I thought they were rather innocuous, but of course social media ran with it, where he said, we're not going to let Lamar Jackson do anything against us. We're going to be out to stop him. Well, no doubt.
Absolutely.
What's he supposed to say when he's asked about Lamar Jackson?
If I was on UNC's defense, I would make Lamar Jackson and stopping him a point of emphasis too, but talking about it and doing it is a whole nother thing for this UNC defense.
Jackson on 3rd and 4, and oh boy, Bonifant wide open out of the backfield, past the 30 and out of bounds.
So well done by Lamar Jackson. Getting through his progressions a year ago was not something that he excelled at. Right here, doesn't like anything downfield. Let's find the running back on the late leak out on 3rd down. Uncovered and allows for the big play opportunity. Learning his progressions and getting through them faster, more poised, was a point of emphasis, and so far he's off to a good start today.
Got 21 yards there to the UNC 24-yard line. And on first down, they run off the right side. Malik Williams dropped again by Andre Smith. Williams going to get more carries with Jeremy Smith out because of a foot injury. They also have Colin Wilson, a freshman, prepared to get some reps at running back in this game.
Tell you, Greg, with North Carolina on defense, a lot of 7- and 8-man box designed to stop the run. That's going to create a lot of one-on-one opportunities in the passing game. So far, Lamar Jackson taking advantage.
Jackson bottled up at the 20-yard line. A gain of 2, stopped by Tremont Fox. Here's third down.
And early in the game, Tom, like you alluded to, heavy boxes when it comes to personnel, but also the safeties for North Carolina, keeping a very keen eye as to what's going on in the backfield. Right there, Miles Dorn, the sophomore, making a play up near the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to be careful with them triggering so quick on the run game to not allow those deep shots down the field in the passing game.
Jackson to the air on third down and 6, and gets out of there. Jackson fighting for the first down. It'll be close. He was met by Patrice Rene at the 15-yard line. See Andre Smith doing some talking there. It is fourth down. He was short.
About a full yard, guys, just standing here right down the line. And again, you see the good decision by Lamar Jackson, understanding you're in the red zone. Know your area of the field. Don't take negative plays. Those are the types of growth patterns that he's made from last fall to the beginning in week 2 here of 2017.
And if I'm Bobby Petrino here on 4th and short, I want to try to get Lamar Jackson on the perimeter with the run-pass option.
Some movement, and if that's a false start, that's going to make Bobby Petrino lose it, because they had 10 false starts last week. 10 in one game. And it's the center, Robbie Bell, who was the guilty man last week. And that's who Petrino is wearing out right now.
I've never seen anything quite like this. Now, I understand Robbie Bell is a freshman, only making his 2nd start. But 11 false starts in just over 64 minutes of game time can't happen.
They get 3, though, as Blanton Creaky puts it through. Another mistake by Robbie Bell. Louisville, though, leads 3-0. Here's Ratliff Williams, a big return for the Tar Heels up near the 40-yard line. Well, last week it was LSU transfer Brandon Harris that started at quarterback. Today it's Chaz Surratt making his first collegiate start, a redshirt freshman from Denver, North Carolina, about 2.5 hours southwest of here. His brother Sage is a freshman at Wake Forest and is a wide receiver. Surratt entered the Cal game last week on the 3rd drive. He threw for a touchdown and ran for a touchdown. He's a southpaw. And a little pitch on the end around a true freshman, Daz Newsome, and there he goes. Newsome has great speed, turning around the defender at the 10-yard line. Finally, they catch him inside the 10. 56-yard run.
That's a great start on the stat sheet for Chaz Surratt. A nice little shovel pass right underneath on the jet sweep and out the gate.
Now they run it here to Michael Carter, or excuse me, Jordan Brown. But let's go back to that last play, Newsome. They told us yesterday in our meeting they wanted to get him involved in the run game. They called him one of the most explosive players on their team. I liked that on the first play. Coming out with that.
He showed it. And get your quarterback off to a nice confident start. Nice 1-for-1. Now, on the stat sheet, that'll go down as a huge gain, but it's probably the easiest pass that Chaz Surratt will have in his career. Well executed by the Carolina offense.
Tried officially a pass, but technically it was a run play, right?
Absolutely. A lot of yards after catch.
2nd and goal, little option football. The pitch, and diving for the goal line is Brown, but he did not get in. They're going to spot him inside the 1. James Hearns shoved him out.
See where he went out. It looks as though he's obviously short of the goal line. Still, though, right here, 3rd down inside the 1. If I'm Chris Kapilovic, the offensive coordinator, I'm thinking I have 2 downs to get in the end zone. I'm not settling for a field goal when I'm this close. Run it twice. See what your big backs can do for you.
I'm with you, especially after you held Louisville on defense. You got a little momentum. Crowd's starting to get into it here. See if you can pound it.
I think you employ the quarterback run here, try to get an extra man advantage.
Surratt rolling out, wide open in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Brandon Fritz, the tight end. Not a bad start for Chaz Surratt. 2 of 2 passing, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Started out with that touch pass to Daz Newsome on the end around. Now, Purdue hung around last week against this Louisville team because of the penalties. Like we saw in the opening drive here that stalled Louisville's drive. They were going to go for it on 4th and 1 and didn't after a false start. The point after by Freeman Jones makes it 7-3 Carolina.
Chaz Surratt from Denver, North Carolina, playing for the state school, getting off to a great start with the touchdown in the back of the end.
At halftime, Roy Williams and the national champion men's basketball team will be honored. They won their 7th title back in April. You got Raymond Felton, Danny Green, guys who are on previous championship teams in the house. Eric Montross here as well.
I don't often get some goosebumps, and I don't often get starstruck on the sideline before the game. Seeing some of those former Carolina basketball players, it's easy to get carried away. Oh, remember him? Oh, he was great. Carolina's had some special teams when it came to basketball.
Here's a pitch to Williams, running left, and he gets leveled by Andre Smith. Close to a 1st down. Well, Louisville last year got off to that great start, 9-1, but then lost the final 3 games of the season. And in those contests, Lamar Jackson was sacked 22 times. He turned it over 4 times in those games. It wasn't just his fault. The defense really struggled. And then last week against Purdue, even though Purdue has improved, they only won that game by 7 points, had to come from behind to win.
And people have been critical of Lamar for those performances, but he still is as dynamic as ever.
He'll keep it here and get the 1st down, spun forward at the 40-yard line by DeJuan Drennan.
It's easy to be a prisoner of the moment, thinking about what Louisville was at the end of the season. The game against LSU was very disappointing. And then they had some of the same issues last week. Fumbling, false starts, penalties, errors on offense and defense. But this team, they're very dialed in, and they're going to go as Lamar Jackson goes.
Play action and a rollout again for Jackson. That pass on the money near the 40-yard line. Travion Samuel and MJ Stewart in coverage. Gain of 6 on 1st down.
Note, Greg, we've seen a lot of misdirection from Louisville so far. Sometimes Lamar Jackson's been under center with some of the naked bootleg. That time out of the shotgun with some motion into the backfield, hoping to get this 7-8 man box in North Carolina to overflow to what they think the action is coming, put them in a conflict of assignment. And Lamar Jackson's so good because he's a run-pass threat once that perimeter happens.
Jackson keeping, nowhere to go. DeJuan Drennan making the play again, so another 3rd down here for Louisville. Just a 1-yard gain for Jackson.
And to back up Tom's point, you know this UNC's defense was challenged after last week's performance against Cal. They got yelled at and told all week, you're supposed to be the experienced group, and they were challenged by their coaching staff and their coordinator, John Papuchis. Now have Louisville in another 3rd down, but if I'm Bobby Petrino offensively, I'm thinking it might be 4-down territory on this side of the 40-yard line.
Although, do you trust your center? Not to false start. Rolling left, Jackson. And that pass off target. Will they throw a flag for interference here? No. Samuel, the intended receiver, and it was a safety, Miles Dorn.
Really good coverage on the play by North Carolina, particularly Miles Dorn. Very, very highly sought after prospect a couple of years ago. Excellent coverage in the back end, setting up a 4th down for Lamar.
Papuchis replacing Gene Chiswick as the defensive coordinator. How do you handle this here with Lamar Jackson as your quarterback? You got so many different options.
Well, you had this play a little earlier. On third down, I might try to find Reggie Bonifant in the passing game.
Instead, it's a quarterback draw. Jackson with the first down and tripped up at the 26-yard line by Donnie Miles. Otherwise, Jackson's still running.
Great execution and the good play call by Bobby Petrino. Shows pass, gets full flow out to the left, which allows Lamar Jackson a lot of room to run straight up the middle. It's a good tackle, by the way, by Donnie Miles, or else there was a lot of room. You see Lamar Jackson holding his head in agony, knowing if I make that guy miss, I might find pay dirt.
Give the center Robbie Bell some credit on that play. Made a nice block. Here's Bonifant. Picked up and dropped at the 30-yard line for a 3-yard loss by M.J. Stewart, the leader of that Carolina defense.
M.J. Stewart is such a good corner and nickel. Talking to Gene Chiswick, his defensive coordinator from last year, he said this guy has a chance to play 10 years in the NFL. Maybe a little bit overshadowed nationally, but he's a competitor, he's a grinder, he's a leader on this football team, and he's very physical at corner, which is not something you always see.
Jackson in the pocket, throws a strike inside the 15-yard line to Jalen Smith. Smith had over 100 receiving yards last week against Purdue. And again, Lamar Jackson from the pocket looks much more comfortable this year. Bobby Petrino said he's really matured, knows the offense so much more than he did. And this is not an easy offense to grasp as Jackson runs here. Spun down at the 13-yard line by Andre Smith, picked up, or inside the 10 down to the 7 rather, picked up about 5.
Yeah, and he really has done a good job working on his footwork in the passing game. All your accuracy as a quarterback comes from your feet. And if you watch him last week and early on so far in this game today, his feet are underneath him. He's patient with the football and he's delivering it confidently. That's what you want to see if you're a Lamar Jackson fan.
Jackson going to lose yardage here. Miles Dorn there first. Malik Carney in there as well for North Carolina.
Tell you what, early on, Miles Dorn has made a bunch of plays coming from the secondary. There he is there in the back. He just triggers. He sees Lamar keep that football and he runs straight to the spot. That's 3 plays already that he's made that have been huge plays for this Carolina defense. 2 in the run game and 1 in the pass game, setting up 3rd and long inside the red zone.
Lamar to the air, end zone, wide open, touchdown. Des Fitzpatrick, a freshman from Michigan, uncovered, and Louisville is back on top.
Lamar Jackson keeping his eyes downfield. This is just a bust in coverage. You can see Andre Smith, number 10, moves slightly to his left, which allows the window to the right-hand side for Jackson to hit Fitzpatrick for the touchdown pass. Nice execution, but a bust on the defensive side allowed the easy pitch again.
Well, last year, 30 touchdown passes for the Heisman Trophy winner. This is his 3rd touchdown pass of the season, and it gives Louisville a 10-7 lead here on the road. Ratliff Williams' last return was good. He made it to the 40. This time he doesn't get to the 20.
And will be a good one here in Chapel Hill for many years to come.
A chess champ growing up has to make all the right moves today to beat Lamar Jackson. Speaking of moves, look at Austin Kroll. Could have easily been tackled for a loss, but ends up picking up 14 yards on that play.
Great job by Kroll, making a sudden jump cut and then going north and south. Bad tackling by Louisville defensively, but a good job by Kroll making something out of nothing for his quarterback.
Surratt rifles that one complete to Jordan Cunningham. So a gain of 5. You think about what Surratt is charged with. You're replacing a guy who was the #2 pick in the NFL draft. And like Surratt, nobody really knew who Mitch Trubisky was at this time last year. Trubisky wasn't a starter until this time a year ago, and then ends up being a top 5 pick. Surratt will keep here, and great balance to keep his feet and actually get positive yardage. May have surprised some people, but not the North Carolina coaches, and we talked to him yesterday about Trubisky getting pick #2. I got a chance to see him in preseason. He looked pretty good.
I'll tell you what, he gets the ball out of his hands. He's quick, he's athletic, and he's big, well put together, but he's a real pro with the way he prepares. Can't wait to see what that Bears team's going to look like with Mitch Trubisky running the show. Maybe not starting the season, but I bet you by year's end, it'll be his party.
Surratt's pass off the mark, try to hit Kroll on 3rd and 8, so North Carolina will have to punt. Remember, they lost Ryan Switzer, an excellent receiver, TJ Logan, Elijah Hood, the running backs. That wasn't on the receiver, though. That pass was just off the mark, 4th down.
That's the first one he's really had where his feet weren't set. The ball got away from him. I've been very impressed with Surratt to this point. They've clearly made the right decision at quarterback based off of last week's performances between the two.
Well, it's rare when you have a collegiate player that's as old as a broadcaster calling this game, but that's the case with the punter, Tom Sheldon, and still elect to punt on 4th down and 2. And this is a good kick away from Reggie Bonifant and down at the 10-yard line. 52-yard boot by Tom Sheldon. You and me both, pal. First down on the 13. And Lamar Jackson in trouble. Gets rid of the pass and completes it. Out near the 30-yard line is Mickey Crum for a big play. Here, a great play by Lamar Jackson, getting dragged down for a sack, rolling left, still finds Mickey Crum for 23 yards. Jackson with a long throw, and the catch is made by Jalen Smith. He paid for it. Big hit by Sales. But there you see the arm talent of Lamar Jackson throwing it from that far hash to the near sideline.
And not a lot of guys in college football are making that throw. Now, it wasn't the most accurate from that distance, but just attempting it proves that he has a lot of confidence in his arm right now and has a real good understanding of what North Carolina is doing defensively and where his guys are going to be on the field at the wide receiver spots.
Run plan, 2nd and 1, and going down for a loss. Jalen Dalton making the hit on Reggie Bonifant. A setback of 3 yards.
Great job by Dalton, just working across the center and just beating him right to the spot. I mean, there's just nothing you can do. He came to the right side, circled the wrong guy. That's a great job by him, though. Big, physical defensive tackle is Jalen Dalton. Hasn't always reached his potential, but when he turns it on, he's a really solid ACC defensive lineman.
Third and 4 for Lamar Jackson in the pocket, and wide open for a first down is Smith. Into North Carolina territory all the way to the 40-yard line. What's happening here, Greg? We've seen this several times on 3rd down, a player leaking underneath over the middle, 23 yards.
Just getting meshes and rubs is what you call them offensively. Defensively, you call them picks. It's just a good, well-designed play by Bobby Petrino, and well executed, and a good job too by Lamar Jackson finding that uncovered guy. Sometimes it takes a second to process the collisions that happen over the ball, but he found it quickly and got it accurately to the intended wide receiver.
Lamar Jackson's thrown for 111 yards and run for 42 yards, and we've only played 1 quarter, but his team is only up 3 here in Chapel Hill over North Carolina. 10-7 Cardinals. Another wide open receiver. It is Jalen Smith for a first down to the 15-yard line. So that's a gain of 16 on 3rd down.
Just a nice, easy pitch and catch. You have the motion of the running back out to the right-hand side, which gives you one-on-one with Jalen Smith on the linebacker working on the stick route to the left. That's just picking a matchup and exploiting it. Good execution and design by Bobby Petrino in this Cardinal offense.
Jackson with terrific third down numbers so far. Here comes a reverse. Lamar Jackson out there blocking for Travion Samuel. Samuel knocked out of bounds inside the 5, and here comes a flag. And Michael Jackson, who is blocking Cole Holcomb on the play. I think Jackson thought he hit him. He was in front of the defender.
Illegal block in the back. First down.
Yeah, he thought he was in front of the defender, and it looked like a good block by Lamar Jackson.
It looked clean to me. It's not often you're going to see an illegal block in the back on the quarterback. Nice little end around reverse with nothing but green grass out in front. It's a great job by Cole Holcomb recovering on the play. He was about the only Carolina defender that sniffed it out as early as he did, and he avoided the touchdown.
Bonifant on first and goal, keeps the feet moving to the goal line, but just short.
This area of the field was a real problem for this Louisville offense last week. Had 2 fumbles at the Purdue 1-yard line. Let's take another look at it. See, it looks like he's short.
Bonifant again. He'll lose yardage this time. Boy, you see Robbie Bell get driven back again the center. Been a rough day for him again. Donnie Miles, the safety, was in the backfield. So it's a loss of a yard. It'll be 3rd and goal for the 2. Bell looks a little shaken up as well.
Critical down right here. Had a false start on 4th and short earlier. Got to be real smart if you're Robbie Bell to focus on the snap count. Make sure you hear Lamar Jackson. And if I'm Bobby Petrino, I'm thinking I got to get Lamar Jackson on the edge of the run pass.
Jackson rolling out, pumps, hit, gets rid of the pass, and it's almost intercepted. Tamon Fox had pressure on Lamar Jackson. That's a mistake by Jackson. They're just throwing it up for grabs. You might cost your team 3 points.
Very fortunate for Lamar Jackson. They do opt to go with the bootleg into the boundary. A great job by Tamon Fox making the play. Look, it was a point of emphasis all off season for Lamar Jackson not to take sacks, to throw the ball away. He took huge steps forward last week in that department. But right there, when you've already secured a potential field goal, you can't throw it up for grabs. Very fortunate.
19 yards, puts it through, and it's 13-7 Louisville. Coach Petrino not happy, to say the least. With Greg McElroy, Tom Luganbill, I'm Dave Pasch here in Chapel Hill. Louisville leading North Carolina 13-7. Another failed red zone trip nearly ended in a turnover, with Lamar Jackson just throwing it up for grabs on 3rd down while he was being sacked. It hit the turf though, and the Cardinals got 3. This will be a touchback. UNC. Surratt to the air on 1st down. Deep ball, receiver wide open. It's caught by Thomas Jackson inside the 40-yard line. They take a shot on 1st down, and they get 36 yards.
Yeah, just vertical passing game. And T.J. Thomas Jackson, number 48, runs right by the defender, wide open.
Surratt to the air again, and a pass on target, pulled in by Ratliff Williams. Inside the 30, picks up 9.
Confidence is soaring right now, guys, for Chaz Surratt. I mean, he is feeling it right now. You can see it in his body language. Up-tempo, Louisville's having to get lined up quickly.
Only 1 incompletion thrown by Surratt. This will be a run play. Nowhere to go, though, for Michael Carter. Dropped by James Hearns. So he did not get the 1st down. 3rd and 2. Jordan Brown. Well defended by that front for Louisville. Drew Bailey, defensive tackle at 300 pounds in there, along with true freshman Dorian Etheridge. North Carolina's keeping the offense on the field for 4th down and 1.
Great tackle right there by the Louisville defense.
A little surprised by this, guys. Points are going to be at a premium here. This is a long 4th down.
And new kicker, though. Remember Nick Weiler, the kicker last year. It's well within his range, but North Carolina opting to leave the offense on here.
And it's a pass. And they got a first down with Carl Tucker. Great play call. They moved the chains to the 21-yard line.
Outstanding play call. A little spider 3 right here, if you will. Fake the little power to the left-hand side. Slip the fullback out into the flats. Pitch and catch stealing, especially for a lefty going to his left.
Did you get the banana in there too, or just the spider 3?
Just spider 3.
Surratt over the middle. It's caught inside the 10. Brandon Fritz. You wonder if the absence of Alexander in the secondary is having an impact right now. I know there was a tight end that caught that ball, but they're getting big plays through the air. 16 yards there, and it's first and goal at the 5. Surratt rolling out, dumps it off, touchdown! Fritz again.
Great execution by this North Carolina offense. A little bootleg. Very simple, easy progression for Chaz Surratt, and he is dealing in his first collegiate start. What a great first half it's been for the redshirt freshman from Denver, North Carolina.
Remember, he didn't start last week. Brandon Harris, the grad transfer from LSU, did, but it looks like Carolina may have its quarterback. Redshirt freshman Chaz Surratt, 5 of 5 on that drive. Carolina leads. Well, we shouldn't be surprised based on North Carolina's last 2 ACC openers. They had that incredible game last year against Pitt. Last second touchdown pass by Mitchell Trubisky. 2 years ago, the biggest comeback ever for North Carolina. They were down 21-0 to Georgia Tech, came back to win. And after getting beat at home by Cal last week, a lot of people thought that this would not be a close game. Not only is it close, but Carolina's in front. It'll come out to the 25. Greg McElroy, a Rhodes Scholar, one of the smartest guys in the SEC, but I don't think, even though you did visit North Carolina.
I did.
Correct? It came down to Carolina, Alabama. Is that
was
right?
it. Carolina was my number 2 school. Really had a great time here. Went to Alabama because I thought they had more coaching security. Mike Shula at Alabama got let go just a few months later. So goes to show you, you never pick a school for the coach.
Although it worked out pretty well with the guy they hired last I checked. Lamar Jackson slings it deep. Oh my goodness, what a pass! Touchdown, Jalen Smith. He made that look easy, throwing that 75-yard bullet.
If Lamar Jackson consistently makes throws like this, he is unstoppable. North Carolina has the perfect call on. Corner cat coming off the right-hand side. Lamar Jackson negotiates the rush, steps up, keeps his eyes downfield, and throws a perfect ball to Jalen Smith on the post route. That is so advanced, and he is showing that maturity that he's worked on all offseason in the passing game.
It's halftime, man. This is the ACC on ESPN. Louisville ranked 17th in the country, leading North Carolina in Chapel Hill 20-14 behind 2 Lamar Jackson touchdown passes. But Jackson was held to just 47 rushing yards. Chaz Surratt, the North Carolina quarterback, was almost as good as Jackson throwing the ball. 12 of 14, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns.
The first time that Chaz Surratt has started for this North Carolina football team, and what a start it's been. Outstanding first half for the redshirt freshman.
This will be a touchback. North Carolina will start at the 25. Let's check in with Tom Luganville.
Well, from the Louisville sideline, Bobby Petrino told me that he was very frustrated with their inability to run the football inside the red zone. That has got to change. Over here for North Carolina, I asked Larry Fedora, is Chaz Surratt ready to go? He said, we're going to find out right now. He didn't seem too concerned. He loves his defensive game plan. They wanted to force Lamar Jackson to throw to beat him. He's made a couple of exceptional throws, but they haven't been ripped on the ground yet, and that's what he was happy about.
Well, Luke, it's going to be Brandon Harris, which is interesting based on what he told you. We heard that conversation with you, and Harris started last week at Cal. He is a grad transfer from LSU. He started 13 games with the Tigers. He's got incredible ability, great arm talent, and he's going to show it off here, throwing a deep ball, and it's incomplete. Radcliffe Williams couldn't catch up to it. We mentioned the 13 starts, 20 career touchdown passes. 2 years ago, he was 9-3 with LSU, and then lost his starting job last year, graduated, transferred here, started last week, went the first 2 drives, played 5 drives in all, but had a quarterback rating of 8.3 and was replaced by Chaz Surratt. Again, we're not told what the injury to Surratt was, but he did run into the locker room on 2nd and 6. Harris running, stood up at the 43-yard line. Gain of 4 for Harris. He was highly rated and signed with LSU in 2014. 10-5 as a starter. And talking with the North Carolina coaches, and it was really the same issue at LSU. Confidence may be an issue with Harris. But, man, when you talk, remember when he was at LSU and we talked to him, big handshake, big smile, great leader, great teammate. It'd be a great redemption story if he plays well, but he almost threw a pick there, trying to hit Thomas Jackson. Chucky Williams stepped in front. It's 4th down.
Yeah, just a great defensive play by Chucky Williams, trying to undercut that quick out route. Nothing Brandon Harris could really do right there. Had his intended wide receiver through an accurate pass. Just a better defensive play than it was an offensive throw and catch. But Brandon Harris, an opportunity, like you said, to redeem himself. Always had the talent, but just hasn't been able to put the whole package together. It'll be interesting to see if he can get in rhythm here against this Louisville defense.
Not a good punt, though, by Sheldon, scooped up by Bonifant, and he's past the 20-yard line. Lamar Jackson, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, back on the field when we return to Chapel Hill. Louisville's first drive of the 3rd quarter. We'll see if they get Lamar Jackson going in the run game. Instead, he'll hand it off in a huge running lane downhill. Malik Williams straight ahead picks up the 1st down.
Lamar Jackson coming into the season really wanted to work on his downfield passing. He's missed a few to the field and to the boundary to the right and left, but he's been pretty dang good on those throws deep over the middle. Very poised, very in control, balanced with his feet, and delivering the ball on time. If he can continue to develop as a passer, he will become unstoppable.
Put on 10 pounds in the offseason. Williams running right, and a good pickup there of about 6.
Mentioned that footwork and the patience for Lamar Jackson here in the red zone, holding on to it, allowing his receiver to get to that open void in the zone for the touchdown, but he still has the improvisational techniques that are incredible, like this off the corner cat, making the corner miss, setting his feet, getting back underneath himself, and delivering a strike on the post to Jalen Smith for the big touchdown. He looks so much more poised and in control in the passing game so far this year.
Running left is Williams, getting the 1st down, close to midfield.
Now this is exactly the approach, guys, that Bobby Petrino talked about going in the locker room at halftime. Was not happy with his offensive line, was not happy with their inability to just line up and say, hey, we're going to run it right now. And that's exactly what the mode of operation has been here. And as further they get down, they've got to make up some hay in the red area, Greg, because the passing game, their last 2 series in that 2nd quarter was really poor once they crossed the 30-yard line.
And they want to create balance offensively. They've been dynamite throwing it so far. But in the run game, there's still a lot of room for improvement, which is to be expected when you're starting and breaking into new pieces on the offensive line.
Jackson over the middle, pulled in by Jalen Smith for a gain of 8. You know, it's so interesting, Greg, going into this season that Everybody's talking about Heisman candidates, and Lamar Jackson wasn't even on the list. And I don't know if that's because of the way the season ended last year and Deshaun Watson played in the postseason or what, but now everybody seemingly is back on the bandwagon after 1 week. What are the realistic chances of him winning the Heisman this year?
Well, Louisville has to win 10 or 11 games for sure and be in the national championship conversation. They likely have to win the ACC, and he has to match or beat his numbers from a year ago.
Here he goes, breaking a tackle. Jackson making moves at the 10, right on cue, staring down the defender as he hits pay dirt. Touchdown, Lamar Jackson. 43-yard run. He almost had that total in the first half.
He's just a man amongst boys. Doesn't even look like he's running hard. Look at how tight that hole is on the offensive line and the way he just splits it. Full throttle. Right north and south, makes one cut, gets to the pylon. There's very few teams in college football that can match him athletically. There's almost no teams that can contain him for 4 quarters.
First rushing touchdown of the season. He had 21 a year ago.
For those that forgot, Lamar Jackson reminds you he is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and could be once again.
Roy Williams' national championship team honored at halftime. Joel Berry, Luke May, Kennedy Meeks, Justin Jackson of the gang, with the former players like James Worthy, past champ, Raymond Felton, Marvin Williams, guys who won titles as well, presenting each player with a gift at halftime. Pretty cool. Yeah, Michael Jordan was supposed to be here for the game as the honorary captain, but had some travel issues because of the hurricane, and so was unable to make it. Ratliff Williams on the return for North Carolina. Kicker to beat. Past the 40-yard line. Inside the 20. He'll take it home. Touchdown, North Carolina. 94 yards. James Worthy said that's showtime. And what a big play after it just looked like Louisville took total control of the game. Your quarterback is out for now if you're North Carolina, and you get a special teams touchdown. Jones puts it through.
What a huge play from the North Carolina special teams unit. And even more so by Anthony Ratliff Williams, just splitting the seam of the wedge and off to the races. Good luck, Blanton Creaky, the kicker, number 45. You're not catching him. You can see right up and under, untouched, all the way to the house. Poor angles by Louisville, but well executed by North Carolina within the wedge, opening up nothing but green grass, parting like the Red Sea. Absolutely incredible answer from the Tar Heels. Just when you thought momentum was entirely in favor of the Louisville Cardinals, North Carolina's third phase answers with a big play.
You know, Greg, when you have a young team and you lose all these players, it affects you on special teams, because now you got new guys trying to learn positions, and they lost the return guys, Switzer and TJ Logan, who are in the NFL because they can return, and then this guy Anthony Ratliff Williams gets a shot and returns it for a touchdown. Seth Dawkins now for Louisville. And that hole closes at the 28-yard line. 6'7", 340. Jackson over the middle. A strike for a first down near midfield. Des Fitzpatrick on the catch. So the Cardinals able to keep the drive alive. 19 yards.
I can count on one hand how many times we saw Lamar Jackson make a throw like this last year. Look at the zones uncover. He anticipates that hole in the defense, and he throws his receiver into it. That's advanced. That's an NFL throw And that's exactly what we want to see from Lamar Jackson moving forward.
He's over 100 rushing yards for the second straight game. And throws this one low. It's caught by Bonifant. He'd have been better off dropping it. He lost 4 yards. I'm going to digress for a second. I'd love at some point for college football to adopt the NFL rule where you're not down when your knee hits the ground if you're untouched. You can actually get up and keep playing if there's no contact.
I agree. I like it. And I'm an offensive guy. So if you fall down on your own power, one, you're going to get made fun of in the film room the next day, which is tough enough to deal with. But then you have a lost yardage play when there's nothing but green grass around you. I think that would be great to add to college football.
On 2nd and 15, Jackson way over the head of the intended receiver, Seth Dawkins, incomplete. These are some long throws he's attempting.
Yeah, he's missed 3 in a row, just in large part due to having his feet just a little bit too lazily in the pocket. He missed a deep one that was wide open. He missed a swing route to the left-hand side, which was open as well, and then another one right there. He's got to make sure that those feet are underneath him, and his release point is consistent so he can throw the ball accurately.
Going to need an accurate pass here. 3rd and 15. Got to get to the 26-yard line. Climbing the pocket, pumping, and sack. 4 guys, led by Cason Collins, take down Lamar Jackson back at the 44-yard line.
Great job by North Carolina's defense, bringing 5. So every one of the Louisville offensive linemen were on islands. Therefore, you just have to have one guy win defensively in the pass rush, and it's going to result in a sack. That guy was Cason Collins, dragging Lamar Jackson down to force the punt. Well executed defensively, and a great call by John Papuchis, the coordinator.
First punt of the day for Louisville, Mason King. Nicely done. Fair catch. And then Cole gets bumped, and that's a flag. Oh, my. Man, Chucky Williams, you've got to stay out of the way of the return man, even after he catches the football. Brandon Harris, who started week 1 for North Carolina quarterback. We didn't even know if we'd see him in this game. Now playing for what appears to be an injured Chaz Surratt, who was brilliant in the first half. Harris struggled on the opening drive for North Carolina. See how he does here. Gonna run a little option, and Harris will keep it. Makes it to the 30-yard line. Good gain on first down, picking up 7. Stacey Thomas brings him down.
See Chaz Surratt over on the bike, helmet off. It's a great start for him. Unfortunate that it doesn't look like he's going to be able to return.
Harris throws to Kroll, complete at the 40-yard line. And we talk about the arm strength of Lamar Jackson, what he puts on the football. Oh, Brandon Harris.
Brandon Harris can sling the football. He's as gifted as passer as you'll find in college football. Very accurate. It's just the decision making that has not always been very consistent.
Look up from the 41-yard line of Louisville. Here's Kroll. He's going to throw it deep. He's got a man, but he overshot the intended receiver, Jordan Cunningham, incomplete.
Oh my goodness. A perfectly called play by Chris Kapilovic, the offensive coordinator. Prohl gets out on the edge. It's well protected. When you're a right-handed passer, that ball has a tendency to fade just a little bit like a golf shot. As it rolls off your fingers, it's going to tail just a little to the right. Prohl, not having a lot of experience throwing it, realizes it right there where he throws it out of bounds to a wide open intended receiver.
He had Thomas Jackson wide open too in the middle of the field. Could have thrown to either guy. On 2nd and 10. Des Newsome had a big play in the first quarter, but not here. Gets nailed at the 40-yard line, so a short gain. Going to bring up 3rd and long. Dorian Etheridge, true freshman middle linebacker, made the hit.
And if I'm Larry Fedora and Chris Kapilovic, I'm still going to challenge this Louisville secondary down the field. They've had some chances to hit one down the field, and they were just rewarded with a pass interference. But there's been some open receivers, especially on 9 routes, go routes, right down the field past these corners.
Harris leaving the pocket, throws on the run, a strike. Rolling left, throwing left. He hits Ratliff Williams for a first down.
Great job executing the scramble drill here by the North Carolina offense. Anthony Ratliff Williams recognizes his quarterback's in trouble, comes back to him, and gets a big first down.
Jordan Brown running right, grabbed at the ankles at the 23-yard line by Kane Pass. Boy, if Brandon Harris ends up winning this game, what a great story for a guy that at LSU thought that he was a quarterback of the future. Things didn't work out there. Lost his starting job, transfers here, trying to replace the #2 pick in the NFL draft in Mitchell Trubisky. Lost his starting job after 1 week as the #1 quarterback with the Tar Heels. But back out there because of an injury to Chaz Surratt. On 2nd and 5. To the end zone, it's caught. Touchdown, Thomas Jackson. And what a pass by Harris. Well, if he lacked confidence earlier, it's back. Redemption time for Brandon Harris. And the extra point gives North Carolina the lead. North Carolina leads our 5th lead change. It'll be the Heisman Trophy winner's turn now. Come from behind win last week for Louisville. This will come out to the 25 here in the touchback. Let's look back at our Napa Auto Parts drive recap.
Welcome to Chapel Hill, Brandon Harris. Didn't get the start, but maybe he'll get the finish. Great throw right there to Kroll on the sideline. Then he rolls out on 3rd and long. Finds Ratliff Williams working back to him. And how about this throw? Look how tight that coverage is by Kane Pass. Perfectly thrown. Thomas Jackson on the seam. Brandon Harris is feeling it.
So Lamar Jackson thrown for 280, run for 103, and he'll pass here, and he's looking downtown. Overthrew the open man, Jalen Smith.
That was the same exact play that Lamar Jackson hit Jalen Smith on earlier in the game for the touchdown. They went with a little bit different presentation. They get the naked, the pull-up, the boot, the post, the overthrow. That's one Lamar Jackson would love to have back. Threw a dime earlier, just a little strong here at the end of the 3rd quarter.
You wonder Jalen Dalton, 6'6" defender, maybe altered that one a little bit. Underneath pass caught by Fitzpatrick down the sideline, getting the first down pass, the 40. Out of bounds near the 46, so a 21-yard pickup.
I like this play call from Bobby Petrino. The last few throws, Lamar Jackson's just barely missed the mark. Got to get him in rhythm throwing it. He had an underthrow, an overthrow, a missed wide, and then another underthrow. Now, get him a nice, easy completion to a receiver that's going to be moving. And now he's going to have an opportunity to kind of build on that momentum that he just created with that last throw.
So over 300 yards passing. Here's Malik Williams running and brought down at the 47-yard line. It's an amazing stat, though, we just showed you about Lamar Jackson. 300, 100 games. Remember, this weekend last year at Syracuse, he almost had a 400, 200 game. He had 400 yards passing and a $199 rushing.
What a performance that was. I mean, I know it was early in the season, but he made a statement that night. Looking to try to do the same here today. He's off to a pretty good start.
On 2nd and 3, Jackson in trouble, and down he goes. There's Jalen Dalton again. Jackson acting as if he wasn't down, but Jalen Dalton shaken up on the play. 2 tackles for a loss for the big guy.
Jalen Dalton just overwhelming Robbie Bell, the center. Down, sets up a 3rd and 6 for Lamar.
You saw Dalton run off the field, one of their best defensive linemen not out there for this play. Pretty good numbers on third down for Jackson, and got a wide open receiver in the middle of the field. Jalen Smith picking up the first down to the 39-yard line.
They got to get Jalen Dalton back on the field, guys. He's been the one defender in that front four for North Carolina that can create any type of penetration between the two A gaps on either side of the center. He is the force within that group. This two plays in a row without him on the field.
With quick game, though, it was going to be very difficult for any defensive lineman to get to the backfield there.
A lot of cushion for the receiver, Seth Dawkins. Easy pitch and catch, another Louisville first down. Got some huge receivers. He's 6'3", 214. Jalen Smith, 6'4", 220. Jalen Smith has 166 yards in this game after 117 last week against Purdue.
Quick game passing game's been good on this drive for Lamar Jackson. Haven't had a lot of opportunity to run it recently, though. Maybe they try to get it going here.
Williams trying to stretch it to the outside and could not. Brought down by Jeremiah Clark for North Carolina.
It's a good point, Greg, because if you recall, the first drive for Louisville on offense out of the third quarter was entirely devoted to the run and ended in a Lamar Jackson touchdown run. So a little bit more diversity here, but you're right, it's the quick passing game that seems to be clicking as opposed to the intermediate and downfield stuff.
Final seconds of the third quarter. North Carolina lost at home to Cal, and right now leading Lamar Jackson in Louisville. Jackson, and I think the official was the one that got him there. Brought down at the 15-yard line. He slowed him up just enough.
Just a spread, 5 wide receiver set gave Lamar Jackson a lot of room to pick up the first down in the red zone.
So we go to the fourth quarter in Chapel Hill. Remember, Louisville goes home to play Clemson next week, and right now in trouble on the road in the ACC opener, but still 15 minutes to play. Terrific game so far at North Carolina. North Carolina with 14 third-quarter points to take a 1-point lead over 17th-ranked Louisville. But a first down for Lamar Jackson and the Cardinals at the 15-yard line. Jackson on the rollout, keeps in bounds and close to the 5-yard line. Back-to-back games for Lamar Jackson of 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards. Second player ever. You know who the other guy was? I know you know this.
Johnny Manziel.
You knew the answer. Just say it. Don't have to pretend like you don't.
Chase Clement Rice.
Yes, Chase Clement Rice.
Ed Rice. That's amazing.
2007. Running straight ahead, Williams. And he gets the first down. It'll be first and goal from the 3.
Now, last week against Purdue, Louisville had several mistakes at this part of the field, Tom. Fumbles, false starts. They backed themselves up and shot themselves in the foot way too many times.
No doubt.
Expect them to run vanilla base offense down here so they don't continue to make those mistakes in the critical part of the field.
Lamar Jackson bouncing it outside, now cutting it back and into the end zone. Touchdown. A grown man run by Lamar Jackson.
That's base offense, but that's not the way Bobby Petrino drew it up. That's just Lamar Jackson being Lamar Jackson. North Carolina plays it perfectly, and yet there is no stopping number 8 for the Cardinals.
Go for 2 here, fellas.
Yeah, I saw Louisville go for 2 twice last week, unsuccessful both times. They ran it once and they threw it once. I expect to get Lamar Jackson on the perimeter and give him potentially a run-pass option.
Here it is, rolling out, looking to throw, and fires it way high, trying to hit Jalen Smith. So it's a 5-point lead for Louisville. 4th touchdown for Lamar Jackson. 2 passing, 2 on the ground. You don't want to know what my major was in college. I know, Greg, yours was basket weaving, correct?
Underwater basket weaving.
This guy, last time he touched it, returned to kickoff for a touchdown. Ratliff Williams, I'm surprised they kicked it to him here. Makes it to the 30-yard line. We'll show you what happened in overtime in a minute, although we're still disputing the video whether it's real or not. Brandon Harris, long throw here, and it's pulled in by Austin Kroll near midfield. All right, so here's the overtime. Foot on the line should not have counted. Tom Luganville swishes home the half-court shot and then celebrates like a 6-year-old.
Act like you've been there before, Tom. Goodness gracious.
Instant
I
replay.
hadn't.
Harris to midfield. By the way, we had contacted the Game Day Operations Center, the ACC, to see if they could go back and look at that shot, whether Tom's foot was on the line.
Oh, it was on the line.
Oh, no, boys.
Over the line, like in
We're
the Big
looking at it right
Lebowski.
now, Luke. I don't know if you have a monitor down there, but your foot is on there.
Let me tell you what monitor I have. I got closed circuit, very grainy, fuzzy TV on a shot that shows indisputable, or it shows disputable video at ends.
Harris off play action. In trouble. Flag comes down as Harris is sacked.
Flag on the play.
Henry Famarua got him. Let's see what the penalty's for.
Holding. Offense number 58. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Nick Polino with the penalty, but they decline it, and so it is third down and about 19.
North Carolina's had this situation a little earlier. Chaz Surratt, the redshirt freshman, got sacked for a loss of 30. Now they're way backed up behind the sticks after having a couple nice plays to get them into Louisville territory.
See if Louisville comes after him here. They rush three. Harris. It's caught over the middle. Coming up short of the first down, though. Radliff Williams on the catch. It'd be about a 47-yard field goal. It looks like North Carolina is going to keep the offense on the field. Fourth down and about 1.5 yards.
There's your bang 8, Greg.
There it is. A little wrap post right there. Well thrown.
North Carolina going for it on fourth down. The ball just past the 30-yard line. And it's a pass play. It's deflected and nearly intercepted. It doesn't matter. Louisville will take over on downs. Derek Dorsey got a piece of that Harris pass.
I don't like that play call at all. Earlier in the game on a 4th and 1, they opted to go with a little spider 2 and slip the fullback out in the flat. Right here, obviously the ball gets tipped. It almost is intercepted. Good job up front by Louisville's defensive line getting their hands up and affecting the pass, but why not run it in a situation like that, especially with numbers in your favor?
I agree with you, Greg. You had to make cut blocks. You didn't make them. Your receiver falls down. There were a lot of things there could go wrong, and they all did.
And it's almost like you're showing confidence in a guy that you didn't have any confidence in before a few of the throws that Brandon Harris has made. Lamar Jackson, long throw that is on the money to Jalen Smith near the 48. And Louisville on the move again. Lamar Jackson having another stellar day. He's got 4 touchdowns, 342 passing yards and 2 scores, 121 rushing yards. And here's another pass that's caught. Seth Dawkins, wow, gets rid of the defender KJ Sales as he steps out of the 32-yard line.
Very impressed with these Louisville wide receivers. Came in, didn't have a ton of production last year, lost their top 3 guys and a great tight end in Cole Hicatini. But man, they have answered the challenge. Jalen Smith and Seth Dawkins, Travion Samuel, Reggie Bonifant at running back when he becomes a receiver. This group is really good, deep, long, and physically talented.
Jackson rolling left. And another wide open receiver, but it was dropped. Mickey Crum left alone. Poor coverage that time, but Crum unable to make the catch at 2nd and 10. Bobby Petrino, one of the best offensive minds in college football, no doubt. And you look at his success with quarterbacks in college, and he's coached so many great players. Even in his very brief stint in the NFL, he had Michael Vick, but he was effusive with his praise for Lamar Jackson yesterday. And again, Petrino, knowing with his time in the NFL as an assistant coach, working with Mark Brunell and all the guys he's coached in college, how many good ones he's had. Williams wrapped up, powers for a couple yards. Tackle made by Malik Carney. Lamar Jackson has grown so much in his maturity and his intelligence playing the position.
He really has. And you look at the rest of his supporting cast. I mean, the wide receivers are very good, but the running game outside of his production has been a little bit up and down. So if they can figure out how to mirror some of his advancements in the passing game with a capable rushing attack that isn't him carrying the ball, this offense has a chance to be every bit as good, if not significantly better than a year ago.
Big third and 8 here for Lamar. Jackson in the pocket, wide open in the middle of the field. It's caught by Fitzpatrick. Touchdown. Five touchdowns on the day, 3 through the air for Lamar Jackson.
If this play looks familiar, it's because the Louisville Cardinals hit the exact same play against Purdue last week for a big gain. Des Fitzpatrick working the middle with 2 high safeties, nothing but green grass. Great throw from Lamar Jackson and a big touchdown for the Louisville Cardinals.
40-28. Louisville in front. This is too much for North Carolina to overcome. Lamar Jackson, 3 touchdown passes on the day. ESPN College Football presented by Vizio. Lamar Jackson having another stellar day for the Louisville Cardinals in defense of his Heisman Trophy from last year. 393 passing yards, 121 rushing yards, and 5 total touchdowns. And Louisville has opened up a 12-point lead. Still a lot of time left. 9:32 on the clock. Short kickoff fielded at the 25-yard line and up near the 30. Brandon Harris stepping up and going for Prohl. Another great pass. And then Prohl's tackled out of bounds, and here comes a flag. Trayshawn Smith, the true freshman from Louisville. I think this is something that continues to keep Louisville from winning championships.
Personal foul.
Prohl's hurt.
Defense number 4. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Louisville, so many dumb penalties. Well, what are you doing here?
Just no answer for that. It's a lack of awareness. And I understand that Trayshawn Smith is a freshman, so I'm more willing to let him off the hook than some other guys that have played before. You can't keep giving up 15-yard chunks on defense, and you can't keep stopping the momentum on offense with inexcusable penalties.
Harris, another long throw to Prohl to the 10-yard line. And they're working the left side of the field, 33 yards.
I'll tell you what, they have no answer defensively for this little post corner route. Austin Prohl, son of the NFL wide receiver Ricky Prohl, one of the best route runners in college football. Look at the separation he creates.
His dad was the same way, part of the greatest show on turf with the Rams, then won another Super Bowl with the Colts. Keep in mind, too, Louisville without its best player in the secondary today because of injury, Jair Alexander. First and goal, run play. True freshman Michael Carter down to the 5-yard line. Wouldn't you love to celebrate a Super Bowl with your dad? And when the Rams won it, Kurt Warner, quarterback, Ricky, a coach for a while with the Carolina Panthers, now just hanging out. Carter trying to cut it back. And it's going to be 3rd down and goal from about the 3. Prohl, by the way, has 120 receiving yards on the day, 8 catches. 4-down territory, boys, here?
Yes, absolutely. Knowing the situation, knowing that your defense has had a tough time stopping Louisville all day, this is absolutely 4-down territory.
These coaches are talking up these Louisville defenders.
Carter, no running room, down he goes. John Bernard makes the play. So now you're in a situation, do you go for it here? If you're 4th down and goal on the 4, you almost can't run the ball anymore, but a field goal really doesn't help you at this point with 7 minutes to go.
Doesn't do you any good. 9 points, it's still a 2-score game. Completely agreed that you have to go for it. but you can't lose yards right there. That was a mistake by Michael Carter, sidestepping and hesitating as opposed to just putting his head down and trying to inch that ball closer to the goal line.
4th and goal for North Carolina. Harris with time. It's caught. Fritz trying to break a tackle and stretch out. And they ruled that he's out of bounds at the 1. Chucky Williams on the tackle. It'll be Louisville ball. And
Rolling on the field.
Fritz isn't even arguing it.
Ball carrier fumbled the ball forward and out of bounds, short in the end zone. The ball be placed in
So they're saying he actually lost the ball.
First down.
What an effort from Fritz.
Oh, he did.
He did. Clearly lost it, and the ball goes out of bounds. Good job by the officials getting the correct spot. Man, does this look familiar or what? Remember Louisville Clemson last year? Louisville having a chance on 4th down in Clemson territory, potentially going in, trying to get the lead. They come up short on 4th down. What an effort by Brandon Fritz.
You see Jackson closing in on 400 passing yards. It would be his 2nd career 400 passing yards, 100 rushing yards game. But they got to get out of their own way here inside the 1-yard line. They got a fullback in the game, and they're able to get out of the end zone. Williams out to the 3-yard line to give him a little bit more space.
But Greg, to your point earlier about Louisville and whether or not they can create a run game that doesn't include Lamar Jackson, it's this type of situational football where you need that guy. They're just not dynamic in the backfield. They don't have game changers. And so it is going to be tough, I think, for them to manufacture that. And you get out of a hole, you're going to have a bevy of tailbacks to do it without your quarterback.
And Tom, offensive line is improved, but it's still not a strength. They need to still continue to grow at that spot.
Williams off the right side. Breaks a tackle at the 10-yard line. Fighting for yardage to move the chains at the 12. That's a big first down for Malik Williams, who's back in North Carolina. He's from Wilson, North Carolina.
It was a heck of a run by Williams. He did not have enough for the first down, but he kept those legs churning and got lower than the lowest defender and carried it to a fresh set of downs.
Yep.
Really, really hard run right there from Williams.
That's big because now he can take time off the clock. Letting the play clock get down inside 10 seconds. Williams 75 rushing yards on 12 attempts. Going to give it to him off the left side this time, and he's got a first down and more. Stays in bounds at the 40-yard line. Williams being chased inside the 30. They finally get to him inside the 20-yard line.
Well, Tom, I guess the questions are answered as to whether or not they're going to find another capable ball carrier. Yeah. Great blocking on the perimeter by the wide receivers, allowing Williams a lot of room to work. This play went from a great play to an incredible play because of the effort by the wideouts holding that block as long as they did. Outstanding job by the offensive line, but an even better job by what are usually pretty boy wide receivers, but hard workers there, that's for sure.
He had 75 rushing yards before that play. Malik Williams got 74 on that run. They're looking at him right now. Reggie Bonifant touched it on the last play.
You know what, though, fellas? I think a lot of this, too, you got to credit Bobby Petrino because this is what he said going into halftime, is you have to make the attempt to do it. If you're going to hand the ball off and you're going to do it on successive downs, then maybe you'll see some results. They did that to open up the third quarter, scored on the opening drive without throwing a pass, and they've done it here when they've needed to do it most.
And Tom, much of the same for North Carolina. Have some really good plays defensively. Played 90% of the game outstanding. And then they give up those big back-breaking plays, whether it be through the air or on the ground. North Carolina moving forward has to quit giving up those catastrophic gains offensively because their defense is playing hard. But when you give up a 70-plus yard run, a 50-plus yard pass, and multiple missed tackles on both of those big plays, coupled with many others throughout the course of the game, it's very difficult to field a consistent defense.
But they got a tough schedule. They got at Virginia Tech, Miami, at NC State. They got Notre Dame coming to town. We'll learn a lot more about Notre Dame after tonight. Notre Dame's got Georgia and South Bend. Going to be a quarterback run all the way for Lamar Jackson. And he's able to stretch forward for the touchdown. The Lamar show continues. 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns today. 8 on the season in just 2 games.
I don't know what else you can say. The kid is just ridiculous. Lamar Jackson is as dynamic of a quarterback as I've ever seen. He's big, he's tall, his accuracy is constantly improving. It's going to be scary to see him in the weeks to come as he continues to get more comfortable.
By the way, Louisville over 700 yards of total offense on the day.
I'm telling you, Tom, I watched Lamar Jackson all off season, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why people were being so critical. Yes, you look at the last 3 games, they weren't great by any stretch of the imagination, but the supporting cast let him down too.
Yep.
The kid's the best player in college football, bar none. There's no doubt in my mind.
Carter taking the short kickoff and bringing it back to the 36-yard line. You're fighting an uphill battle before the season even starts to repeat, because it hasn't happened in 40 years, and we've had several guys recently especially that have come back to college after winning a Heisman Trophy to try to get it a second time.
But what's so irritating was the constant narrative. Well, you know what? It's kind of voters' remorse. Deshaun Watson should have won the Heisman Trophy. Deshaun Watson was incredible, but he had 17 interceptions.
And you can't count the national championship.
And you can't count what he did in the postseason. So I got real tired of hearing how, oh, Deshaun Watson should have won it. Oh, Sam Darnold was really the best player. No, he wasn't. Lamar Jackson was. And if you want to take a 13-game sample size to look at the entire body of work, it was obvious. Lamar Jackson should, going into week 3, more than likely be the front runner again. I know Josh Rosen had a great performance. I know Saquon Barkley's sensational. Sam Darnold's a great player, should bounce back after last week's performance. But Lamar Jackson, until I'm proven otherwise, is the guy to beat for the Heisman Trophy again this year.
First down for North Carolina, but down by 19 points. Harris throws complete. Receiver had the knee down, so the play's over. Pass complete to Jake Vargas, and a first down for North Carolina.
No, Greg, the scary thing about Lamar Jackson is not only are they better guard to guard in the offensive front, they're not where they need to be, but they're better, is what he's now able to do and what they're able to trust him with in the passing game.
Off play action, Harris unloading into the end zone, but overthrown, incomplete.
And Tom, I'd be remiss too if we didn't mention the effort from North Carolina today. Look, last week was tough. It's an inexperienced group. It's a young group still trying to find their way. But they hung in there. And yeah, they allowed way too many big plays, and the fourth quarter got very, very one-sided. But this is a performance to build on. And I think Larry Fedora has to be impressed with the grit and toughness that his team showed.
Tough pass to handle there from Michael Carter, incomplete.
Now, you can never walk away from a performance, Tom, where you allow 700 yards feeling good about it. But they fought hard against a team that was much better than them, and that has more talent and more experience than them, and that has the best player on the field. So I think that arrows pointing up. Last week's performance, very disappointing. This week's performance, a little bit better.
They led going into the fourth quarter. Louisville scored the final 20 points of the game. Daz Newsome on the catch. Clock will stop to reset the chains. Next week, it'll be Louisville and Clemson. And obviously, the Tigers have a tough one tonight at home against Auburn. And that will go a long way in the Lamar Jackson Heisman discussion, but also the Louisville playoff discussion. Be interesting to see how the voters handle this week. Nice throw by Harris to Vargas, breaks tackles, comes up just short of the goal line. It'll be interesting because in the AP, Louisville dropped the spot from last week because they struggled with Purdue. How do the voters look at this game trailing going into the fourth quarter? Obviously, nothing really matters, though, until the playoff rankings come out at the end of October. Carter didn't get into the end zone.
Yeah, I think that so far this season, Louisville still has a lot to prove, a lot to work through. But they're going to be in the hunt again, especially with the injury to DeAndre Francois at Florida State.
Touchdown, Michael Carter. That'll make the margin of defeat for North Carolina a little bit slimmer. 31 seconds left in the game.
Michael Carter, haven't had a lot of chances to talk about him today, but I think he's going to be a good one. Just a freshman. Reminds the coaching staff a little bit. Giovanni Bernard with that sudden change of pace and that lateral agility. He's a guy to keep an eye on in the weeks to come.
Let's take you back to the top of the telecast as you look at the incredible day that Lamar Jackson had, and Greg McElroy's thoughts on whether Lamar Jackson should be at the top of the Heisman list after week 1.
Sick and tired of people suggesting that Lamar Jackson's not the best player in college football. He is. Case closed.
Well, you called your shot, and I know it's against the poor defense, but still, some of the things that Lamar Jackson does, nobody else can do in college football. And again, those last 3 games at the end of last year left a sour taste in the mouth of some voters, but through 2 games, he's been brilliant. The big test comes next week at home against Clemson.
The scary thing is he's getting better.
That one beautiful touchdown pass that he threw in the first half, where last year he definitely would have gotten out of there.
Yeah, just getting the targets and not taking the front door and staying within the offense.
Onside kick and an easy recovery for Louisville. They'll have the ball at the 30-yard line just down at one time. Go ahead and finish your point there, Luke.
No, I was just, I just think the maturation process of now Bobby Petrino trusting that, you know what, if it's not perfect, before the play even starts, I'm saying, if it's not perfect, oh, you know what, we got to get out of this protection, make sure we're out of a bad play into a good play. I don't think they could have done that. They trust him to get them right on offense, and that takes your offense to another level because it opens up the playbook. And I'll say another thing about this Louisville team. You open the season virtually on the road, essentially, versus 2 Power 5 opponents before you get to play a home game. Good for Louisville, man. That's not easy for anybody.
And your first home game is against the team that's the defending national champs in Clemson. The Tigers have a big one tonight against Auburn. Louisville wins this one 47-35. Lamar Jackson with 393 passing yards, 132 rushing yards, 3 passing touchdowns and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And the South Florida native obviously dealing with the hurricane. His mom was hoping to get here for the game today, trying to evacuate Florida. So many people are. 47-35, Lamar Jackson and Louisville win. Coach Petrino with Tom.
Well, Coach, it was a dogfight on the road. Maybe a little more suspense than you had hoped. How do you feel your team responded when things maybe weren't going your way throughout the day?
Good. I liked our team. I thought they had great poise at halftime. We told them we had to come out in the second half and compete. You know, they made a run at us. They came back, got it close, and our offense responded, went right down and scored. So I'm really happy.
As a run game team, you went into halftime saying we got to run the football better, particularly in the red area. You think you accomplished that in the second half?
Yeah, not as well as I'd like to, but we certainly got better at it. And, you know, our running backs, I thought, did a much better job. It was great to see Malik Williams make a big play, but it was well blocked, too, so that's a good thing.
Big one next week versus Clemson. Finally get to go home. How's that going to feel?
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Bobby Petrino and the Louisville Cardinals knock off North Carolina to improve to 2-0. College football scoreboard is up next. Presented by Honda. For Greg McElroy, Tom Luganbill, our entire crew, I'm Dave Pasch. So long from Chapel Hill. It was the Lamar Jackson show again for the Louisville Cardinals.